incident, beating on the door. And when they asked the defendant about it at the police station, he's laughing. He laughs about her injuries. He's even holding his hand. It's on video. We all saw it. That shows what kind of person he is, Your Honor.
A jury had just answered the most important question in the courtroom. After about 24 minutes of deliberation, they found Ryan Cooper guilty on every count.
We're here for the sentencing on the state versus Ryan Tamel Cooper, who was convicted on all 8 counts of the indictment.
He was legally responsible for the death of a 23-year-old woman, but outside the Dougherty County Courthouse, one question remained unanswered. Lacambria Toomer was still missing. Her family still could not bury her, and investigators still had somewhere left to look.
Day in, day out, I was out looking for my baby, because that's what a mama's supposed to do. I was there 4 years. 4 hard years.
How do prosecutors prove a murder without the victim's body? And when a courtroom legally decides who is responsible, why can't anyone answer the family's final question? Where is Lacambria?
I'm begging you, tell me where my baby is, so I can go on with my life and Jordan can at least have a place to go.
Lacambria Dean Shea Toomer was 23 years old. She was a daughter to Malasia Thornton Caldwell. She was a mother. She lived in Albany, Georgia. When reading through the thousands of pages of court documents that eventually defined her case, it is easy to lose sight of the person at the center of it. In the legal record, she becomes a timeline, a piece of forensic evidence. But before she was a missing person, she was a young woman navigating life and motherhood, and she shared a child with a man named Ryan Cooper. In August of 2022, Lacambria vanished. Tracing her final days required investigators to carefully separate physical sightings from digital activity. According to early reports, Lacambria was last seen in Albany on August 13th. She would not be reported missing for another 11 days. But as police dug into phone records, her digital footprint extended further. Her final known text message was sent 2 days later, on August 15th. The timeline was fragmented, but investigators knew exactly who she was with. Ryan Cooper was the last person known to see Lacambria alive. When authorities questioned him, Cooper offered a specific explanation. He said they were driving together from Albany to Savannah when an argument broke out. According to his account, he dropped Lacambria off at a truck stop in Cordelia, Georgia, leaving her there with a bag of her belongings. If investigators could verify that claim, it would establish a clear timeline of her last known location. They checked the route. They checked the timing. But the account did not fit the evidence. Investigators determined Cooper's story about the truck stop was false. When the last person to see a missing woman gives an untrue account, the investigation collapses inward. Cooper was no longer just the father of her child. He was the center of a rapidly escalating police inquiry. If she wasn't at the truck stop, where did she go? And more importantly, what happened inside the vehicle he claimed he dropped her off in? The focus shifted directly to Cooper's car, an Audi. And what investigators found inside that vehicle fundamentally changed the case. Without a traditional crime scene, the Audi became the central piece of physical evidence. When investigators examined the car, they found a bullet hole. They also found indications of blood. The disappearance was no longer just a missing person inquiry. It was a homicide investigation. Forensic teams rigorously analyzed the materials recovered from the vehicle. Following testing by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, an expert concluded that the DNA from the suspected blood matched a child of Lacambria's mother, but prosecutors had more than a DNA match. They had an interpretation of the scene. During the trial, expert witnesses testified about the blood patterns found inside the car, analyzing the trajectory and distribution of the stains. Based on that analysis, prosecutors argued the evidence told a specific violent story. They presented a theory that Lacambria was shot while seated in the passenger area of Ryan Cooper's Audi. Physical evidence is stationary. Digital evidence moves. To reconstruct the hidden hours around August 15th and 16th, investigators turned to phone records and GPS data. They tracked the digital footprints left behind by mobile devices. They analyzed text messages between Cooper and Toomer, alongside cell phone location data, mapping out movements that prosecutors argued did not fit Cooper's original account to law enforcement. This allowed the state to establish a silent timeline. They didn't need to rely on what Cooper told them because the digital records showed where the devices were, when communications ceased, and how those movements aligned with the prosecution's theory of the crime. But physical and digital evidence only formed part of the state's case. Investigators also spoke to people in Cooper's orbit. During the trial, prosecutors played a recorded police interview with Tevin Davis, a man described as Cooper's best friend since childhood.
I want to pick back up where we kind of left off yesterday. Did you have the opportunity to listen to one of the recordings when you spoke with the police about this case?
Yes, ma'am.
In the audio, Davis told investigators that weeks after Lacambria's death, Cooper told him that brain matter was on the roof of the car.
I looked down. I said, "No, what is it?" He clearly looked at me and said, "It's brains on the roof."
When combined with the bullet hole in the forensic analysis of the Audi, prosecutors presented these alleged statements as part of a clear, incriminating picture. In May 2023, police arrested Ryan Cooper. Nearly 3 years later, in March 2026, a Dougherty County grand jury formally indicted him. The charges included malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, and concealing the death of another. The state was officially taking a no-body murder case to trial. When the trial began in July 2026, defense attorneys faced a mountain of circumstantial and forensic evidence, but they emphasized one undeniable fact. Lacambria Toomer was not there. Her remains had never been found. The defense challenged the state's narrative directly. They argued that prosecutors had not proven Ryan Cooper killed Lacambria beyond a reasonable doubt. Defense attorney Benjamin Davis attacked the credibility of the state's experts.
All of the experts based their opinion on the testing that was done by someone else. The experts did not do any independent testing.
He highlighted that separate forensic tests conducted by the Albany Police Department and the GBI yielded different results.
The medical examiner for the last witness, he didn't even have an office. He worked out of a UPS store. He based his testimony on what was done before.
Questioning whether the evidence conclusively proved a murder occurred exactly as the prosecution claimed. He also emphasized the timeline of the investigation itself. Addressing the jury, Davis noted the enormous amount of time it took for the state to secure indictments and expert testimony, arguing that the prosecution jumped to conclusions without a proper investigation. Without a body, the defense asked, How could the state definitively prove the exact cause or manner of death?
Nothing. He based his conclusion that Ms. Toomer had bled out in the car based on what he concluded Ms. Faults had said. And that was erroneous.
The jury
So
listened to the state's forensic reconstruction. They listened to the defense frame its argument for reasonable doubt, and then they left the courtroom to deliberate. About 24 minutes later, they returned with a verdict: guilty on all charges. Weeks later, on August 7th, 2026, Ryan Cooper was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict and the sentence established ultimate legal accountability. But as the courtroom emptied, the heaviest question remained untouched. A courtroom can pronounce a verdict. It cannot tell a mother where to bury her daughter. For Malacia Thornton Caldwell, the verdict gave the family something they had been waiting for since 2022: legal accountability. But she has been clear in the aftermath of the trial: justice is not the same thing as closure. Following the indictment, she stated, "I'm still hurting on the inside, even though we got the justice part, but I'm still hurting because I don't have the closure part, because I still don't know where her remains lie."
I'm still hurting on the inside, even though we got the justice part. But I'm still hurting because I don't have the closure part, because I still don't know where her remains lie.
Lacambria's remains have not been located. There is no grave site to visit. There is no final resting place. Authorities have made it clear that the investigation into Lacambria's whereabouts is not closed. They intend to continue following up on information. The legal case reached a verdict. The search for Lacambria did not. Now that the conviction is in place, what do you think is the most important unanswered question investigators still need to solve about Lacambria's disappearance? Let us know down below.